The question hung in the air, adding another layer of unease. Outside, rain began to tap against the station's windows, and the atmosphere grew heavier. Whatever this was, it wasn't random. Mike could feel it, something much bigger. Mike took a deep breath and carefully unwrapped the rest of the bundle. The firefighters leaned in, their curiosity and unease growing with each layer removed. Finally, the last piece of fabric fell away, revealing an object that none of them could have anticipated. It was small but intricate, covered in strange symbols that looked ancient and unfamiliar. It seemed to hum faintly, though no one could tell if it was their imagination or something more. Emma stepped closer, her brow furrowed. "It looks almost like a piece of some machine," she murmured, though she had no idea what kind. The boy's voice broke the silence. "There's more," he said. "I didn't bring it all." "What do you mean?" Mike asked, his heart racing. The boy's face paled even further. "There's something else in the woods near my house. I was too scared to go back." The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. Mike exchanged a tense glance with Emma before turning back to the boy. "You're saying there's more of this out there?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The boy nodded, his eyes wide. "I think someone left it there, but it doesn't feel right. It's like it's waiting for something or someone." The words sent a chill through the room. Mike straightened up and grabbed a flashlight. "Emma, you're with me." "The rest of you, stay here and secure this," he ordered, motioning to the strange object. As they drove toward the boy's house, the storm outside intensified. The boy had described the location, a clearing just beyond the edge of the woods. When they arrived, Mike and Emma stepped out into the rain, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. But as they neared the clearing, they froze. The ground was marked with identical symbols glowing faintly, arranged in a pattern that seemed far too deliberate. Something, or someone, had been there, and it wasn't by accident. Mike and Emma exchanged a wary glance as they stepped closer to the glowing symbols. The air felt heavier, almost charged, like a storm brewing just out of reach. Suddenly, Emma's flashlight beam caught something glinting in the mud, a shard of metal, nearly identical to the object the boy had brought to the fire station. Mike knelt down, brushing dirt away from what appeared to be a buried mechanism, its surface etched with the same strange markings. "This isn't just some random junk," he muttered. "It's part of something bigger." Before Emma could respond, a low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. The symbols on the ground began to pulse, and the shard in Mike's hand grew warm. Both of them stumbled back as a faint light erupted from the clearing, casting shadows that danced unnaturally around them. And then, just as quickly as it began, the light faded, leaving only silence. "What just happened?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling. But before Mike could answer, they heard a sound, a rustling from deeper in the woods. Turning their flashlights, they saw a figure step into view, its face hidden in the shadows. It wasn't human. As they stood frozen in shock, the boy's words from earlier came rushing back. "It's waiting for someone." The figure stepped closer, and Mike and Emma instinctively backed away. Its movements were deliberate, yet strangely familiar, as if it had been observing them for a long time. Suddenly, the shard in Mike's hand glowed brightly, and the figure stopped, tilting its head as though recognizing something. Then, in a voice neither human nor machine, it spoke one word: "Return." Mike hesitated, but placed a shard on the ground near the glowing symbols. Instantly, the light flared again, and the figure, along with the markings and buried mechanism, dissolved into the darkness, leaving no trace behind. The woods fell silent, as though nothing had ever happened. Back at the station, the boy listened as Mike and Emma recounted what they'd seen. "Do you think it's over?" the boy asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mike looked at him, then at the now dim shard they'd brought back. "For now," he said, though he wasn't entirely sure. Some mysteries, he realized, aren't meant to be fully understood, only respected. It was just another quiet evening at the fire station when the front doors suddenly burst open. In walked a teenage boy, his face pale and his arms clutching a worn-out blanket. The firefighters exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of what to make of the scene. The boy looked scared but determined, like he was carrying the weight of a secret too big to keep. "Please, you have to help," he said, his voice trembling but steady. The firefighters quickly moved into action, expecting an injured pet or even a baby hidden under the blanket. But as the boy slowly revealed what he was carrying, the room fell silent. Their training had prepared them for almost anything, but not this. What they discovered that night left them speechless, and the mystery behind the boy's actions would change everything. Stay tuned, because this story is just beginning. The firefighters stood frozen for a moment, their eyes locked on what the boy had revealed. It wasn't what they had expected, not even close. The station's captain, a seasoned veteran named Mike, stepped forward cautiously. "What is this?" he asked, his voice calm but laced with concern. The boy hesitated, his grip tightening on the blanket. I found it outside my house," he whispered. "I didn't know where else to go." As the firefighters examined the mysterious object, questions raced through their minds. Where had it come from? Why was it left outside the boy's house? And most importantly, what did it mean? Mike knelt down to the boy's level, noticing how his hands shook and his shoes were muddy, as if he had run a long way. "You did the right thing coming here," Mike said gently. But deep down, he knew this was only the beginning of Mike's signal for one of the other firefighters to grab a fresh blanket for the boy. As the team gathered around, trying to make sense of what they were looking at, the boy began to explain in fragments. His voice wavered as he described hearing strange noises outside his window earlier that evening. When he finally mustered the courage to step outside, he found the bundle, wrapped tightly, as if someone wanted to hide it, but also ensure it was discovered. "I didn't know what to do," the boy admitted, his eyes darting nervously around the room. It looked important, but also dangerous. One of the younger firefighters, Emma, spoke up. "Do you think someone left it for him? Maybe on purpose?"